And welcome to Liquid Lunch. We're coming at you live. It's the 16th of June. And it's me, Hugh, and Bridget is back.
Hi.
After a long journey all over the place, right?
Yes.
Bridget?
In fact, we are interviewing someone I recently visited.
Right.
Yes.
Somebody, I know you've known our guest for quite a while, and actually we're going to have an amazing conversation today because we're speaking with Ghis, who is the author of The Medical Mafia, which I don't know if you want to hold that up. The Medical Mafia. Let's show that book.
Oh.
There it is. And we're speaking with Ghis right now, live from somewhere in Quebec. And Ghis, it's great to have you on the show. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Hello, you, and hello, Bridget. It's a great pleasure to be with you both today.
Ghis, we want to talk about the fact that you have been both a doctor and a Canadian citizen, and now you are neither. So can you tell us about the journey of becoming an ex-doctor, ex-citizen?
Yes, I will start with the first one, the doctor. When I've been a doctor for 25 years, practicing medicine, and I came to realize, to become aware of the business that's running medicine, how it works, and then how we are totally controlled, and not only controlled, but informed, educated by Big Pharma, and that everything else is forbidden. We don't hear about it, and we're always told that it's quackery. So we only learn what serves big money and not what serves the people. So it took me several years to understand that. When I graduated medical school, I was convinced that medicine was great. I mean, I never thought of that it could be what I found it out to be. So when I realized, I understood, it took me several years to put the dots together and come to the comprehension of the system. The system is so complicated that it's hard to know who runs the show, how it works. So I finally, when I got it, I said, I've got to write a book about this and let people know how it works. And when they go to see a doctor, they just go to see a salesperson. A doctor is a salesperson. That's all he does. Sell you medication, surgery, whatever. But he's not helping you with your health. So the whole medical system is meant to make people sick if they are not, or sicker if they already are, for the benefit of big money. So this is something we have to understand. Something as with bankers, when you go to a banker, you go to somebody who's going to rob you. This is what it's meant to be. So same thing with the doctor. You go to a doctor, he's there, he's paid to make you sick. And we do not realize that. But when you go up the ladder and see who's behind this and who runs this, who makes the decisions, at the top level, you just find the big money running government. All those, for instance, the College of Physicians, the universities, they all are controlled by government. But who is government controlled by is the question. And government is controlled by big money. And we want to believe that government is good for the people.
Well,
and that's not the case. It is blindly serving big money.
Mm-hmm. So that brings us to the understanding of becoming a non-citizen, because if you're not interested in the government of Canada, if you feel that they're not serving the public, just as the doctors are not serving the public, then is that what led you to becoming a non-citizen? What led you?
Well, first step, that led me to stop voting and then to stop paying. And I'll just go back to the doctor issue. When I realized this, I just wondered, where is the solution? And the solution was definitely we created those systems. So anyway, when I exposed the medical system, I realized that all the other systems, they are all alike. They are all serving the same people. At the top of the pyramid are the same people. So I realized that big money, that government, it serves big money. Should it be in medicine or should it be in any other field? So first thing I did when I wrote the book, I lost my license. They just asked me to resign. I refused to resign because there was nothing wrong with that book. There was nothing that was not the truth. And I told them, if there's anything that something that's not true, let me know and I will resign. But no, it was all true. So they said, well, we're going to bring you on a trial and we are going to revoke your license, your right to practice. And I said, you do what you want. I now knew, it was all decided in advance. It was not a impartial court, of course. Courts are not impartial. Same thing with the justice, what we call the justice system. It is not. It's got nothing to do with justice. It's got to do with punishing black sheep who don't want to serve big money. That's all it is. So I realized that and that was fine. I went through the trial, knowing what the end would be, what the judgment would be. But I left before it was over. When I had enough, I just quit. And I said, here's my resignation. And I gave them a declaration of a free physician. And that's what I started doing after. And I went on with my question at that time was, if what I learned in medical school is disease, illness, then what is health? What is it? And then I went searching for health, and I realized that the sickness, illness, comes from our submission to external authorities. We are in fear. Fear is the worst. The only disease is fear. And I went from. I asked myself, where does disease, fear come from? And fear comes from our separation between authority and obedience. And we are separated. I said, okay, well, fine. If we are separated, we can unify. And I realized that the real authority was inside. It is inside everybody. The real authority is not outside. Outside is false authority. For instance, if we stop going to the doctor, there is no medical system, and big pharma just falls apart. We people have individuals. We have the real authority. It's within ourselves.
Okay,
but we give it away. So that's how I realized that the health is about being who we really are, our real identity.
Okay, so first of all, just to clarify, so when you were when they wanted to take your medical your right to practice medicine away, what body was that? Just to be clear.
The College of Physicians
of Canada.
Of Quebec. It goes with each. There's one in each province.
I see. Okay. So, okay, great. Now, so, I mean, it seems to me that there are people all over the world, certainly all over Canada, who are waking up to some of the ideas that you're talking about here today. And the idea that we give away our authority all the time. Some people say that that is essentially what's really wrong. You know, we're giving our authority away because we are brought up in the system. In schools, we're taught who the authorities are. We have to register everything, right? Which means
Absolutely, yes.
Under the king, right?
Yes.
But there are people in the country, now I don't know what your specific approach is in terms of relinquishing citizenship or not paying taxes, because there are other people, I don't know if I can remember their names off the top of my head, but people who have resisted paying taxes, and they have been brought before the courts, and in some cases they've been thrown in jail. So it's one thing to say you're sovereign, that you're standing alone in front of the system, but how do we make that actually count without having our freedom taken away from us?
I will just, how did I get there? To stop filing. I decided to stop filing. That was the first thing. When I realized that the money, all income tax money, goes into the pockets of big money, the world financiers. It does not go to the government. That's important. It does not go to the people. It goes to financiers and bankers. When I realized that, I said, I cannot collaborate with this anymore.
Right.
That's all. You know, it's very basic.
Well, we've lost control over, we're supposed to have, in a parliamentary democracy, representation with taxation. But we're not getting that because we pay the tax, but that tax goes to fund deficits that don't need.
There's no debt. You know, it's
a big artificial blah blah blah. It's a way to enslave the population.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Exactly, precisely.
And it's a way to create wars. The money goes to finance wars, or
Absolutely.
or finance a police state, right?
Absolutely, yes.
So we have lost control over how that money is to be used, supposedly for the public good. But how? So okay, so you made the decision to stop filing, but you know at some point maybe they're going to come after you, and so how do you take it to the next level?
And they did come after me. Several years later, many years later, I stopped filing in 1995, I think, and they came to me in 2006. Yes, so you know, about 10 years later. So, but when they asked me to file, and I did not file, I did not accept. But the thing is, in the meantime, I became educated. I learned that there were two Ghislain Longto. There was one word that belonged to my parents when I was born, and that is now an adult. And the other one, which is a corporation that belongs to the country, that belongs to the state. But the corporation and everything, and the one that works, that brings the money in, that brings energy, is the one in flesh and bone, the real one. But the other one gets everything, the bank account, everything we own, my house, my car, my children, and I learned about this. And the one who has to file income tax is the corporation who owns everything. So I knew the difference, and I said, well, I'm not going to debate because that is not me. So I sent a letter notified the Minister of Justice, I don't recall who precisely, and told them that I was not going to identify myself with that person that belonged to them that they created. So that was the first step. And then they asked me to come to court, and I went and I asked, who is this person that you sent the letter to? And the judge would not answer. It's important to know that judges do know the difference between the two persons, but that the lawyers do not know the difference, and the people, of course, do not know it at all. But there are two. So I said, well, that's not me, and you have no jurisdiction over me. So that went on, and they went on and asked me one day. I was released for temporarily, and I had to sign. I said, well, I cannot sign because that person is not me, and I will not endorse that person. So they said, well, if you don't sign, we'll have to send you to jail, while we're waiting for the trial to come. And I said, all right, I'll go to jail. So that's how I went to jail. And then when I came out from jail, it was time for trial. I showed up, and then I asked for a release without condition, and that was accepted. And the trial then was postponed for many months. And I told them I will show up, but I'm not that person. But since I'm your prisoner, I will make a deal with you. I will show up at that trial. And when I showed up at the trial, they said, well, I kept telling them, you have no jurisdiction over me. And he said, well, that's fine. That's fine. And I left, and that was it. It was over. So the judge said, I'm going today to go through the trial of Ghislaine Langto, and I left, and that was it. So and after that, so that was it. The entity, the legal entity, the corporation was condemned to $1,000, and that's all. And it was over. But after that, I said, how can I get rid of this corporation which bears my name? And I tried to find ways to get rid of it. I could not. So there's no way. It is created, this corporation is created when we are born, and it dies when we die. So I said, all right, I will make it die. So I realized that a citizen is both. What we call a citizen is both the natural person and the legal person. It is both. So I said, well, I will let go of citizenship, and that will be it. I'm not a sheep anymore. So it's slavery. Citizenship is slavery, definitely. And in order to get out of it, I decided to let go of citizenship, and that was it. So I'm not a citizen anymore. What does that mean? It means that it's like a deal you have with a company, a corporation, for instance. If you're an employee of a corporation, you get the wages, you get the benefits, and you provide them with your talents and time and energy. So it's an exchange. Well, same thing with government. There's a deal going on we're not aware of. And the deal is, you get security and protection, which is totally false, but they pretend we get it, and we think we get it. And against this, we have to obey the laws and give them and pay. We have to vote and pay, which goes down to voting and paying. We give our power away, our sovereign power away, and we give our money away. We give them our money and our power. And this is the deal. So I decided to say, all right, I'll come to an end. I'll put I'll stop the deal. So I refused. I renounced all the rights, both rights and privileges, and I stopped being a citizen. I said the deal is over. You can count me out. I'm not a citizen anymore. So what does, if we go back to a deeper understanding of what it means coming out of slavery. We have always been slaves of kings. We still have a queen, by the way, but we have always been slaves of queens, kings, masters, rich people. It has always been. And this is the life we live in, dominant, dominated. It's you're one or the other, and it's time for us to come out of slavery. Why is it time to come out of slavery? Because we are not slaves by nature, by who we are, and now we that brings up an identity clarification. Who am I? I am a poor creature of an external creator, being God or my parents or the government or whatever, or am I the creator and the creature, and the authority and the obedience? And the moment we bring them together, the war is over. We stop fighting. The war is over, and fear is gone. So that's the way to heal fear. I'm the creatrix. Whatever happens to me, I create it. And I create, and then you can tell me, for instance, well, going to jail, is this your creation? Yes, it is. Everything is my creation. So I don't fight it. And that's why I didn't play the legal game. I just didn't play. Somebody told me you won. I said I didn't win. I did not play. I don't play the legal game. This is their game. This is their rules. That's fine, but they're not mine. And if you want to know who the question is, who owns me? I own myself. But who is I? The real I is my soul. It is the being, the supreme being that I am. But we have been told all the time that no, supreme being is elsewhere, outside of you. So it's bringing the real authority, the true authority, which we call sovereignty, the supreme authority, bringing it inside us and not leaving it outside.
So Guy, this brings to an interesting conversation we had just this past week about Bill C-51. So the governments are now flexing even more muscle. We basically have the Patriot Act right here. Can you give us some what you believe would be the best way to respond to such a piece of legislation?
Yes. Well, I'll give you what I do with those, because new legislation is getting stronger and stronger. We are getting enslaved more and more tightly every day. And this is a new one. I hope that people will open their eyes, but some will and some will not. That there is no way that we will be free as long as we do not make ourselves free. I cannot ask anybody to make me free. I can only, as a slave, free myself. So what is the attitude? Well, this bill is done by an entity called the government, which is a corporation, by the way, owned by the crown. So I won't go further into that. But we belong to the crown, and we belong to a corporation, and they make their rules. And as long as we are enslaved, we have to abide by those. We can protest. Well, you know, when you protest, what do you get? You get the sticks. You're beaten up, and it won't change anything. I was fascinated when I hear that Harper had allocated 10 hours discussion on that bill C-51. 10 hours discussion to make people to make people accept, deputies accept to put people in jail without any reason. That's what it is. It's pure slavery, pure slavery. If you don't see it now, you'll never see it. This is what it is. It's detention, arbitrary detention, and for unlimited period of time. No trial, no nothing, no reason. I mean, that's unbelievable. Well, but that's what it is. Yeah. So I'll tell you honestly, in one aspect, I'm happy that those things happen, because they are eye openers for us. We have to realize that we are in slavery. We are enslaved to our masters. So, but we can leave. We can quit. And this is what I did. Is this something easy to do? Because if no protestation will ever make it. You know, it won't work. Because we have to know that politicians, they get orders and they just obey blindly the orders. So definitely we'll have to make a decision. Do we want to remain slaves or get out of slavery?
Hugh?
Well, I mean, it does seem, I'm curious, do you have any thoughts about why it's getting worse now? Because it seems to me, I mean, growing up in this country, it seems to me we almost, looking back, it almost seems like we lived in that it was all okay before, and now it's getting horribly wrong. Right? And any idea why that seems that way?
Yes, yes. We are, consciousness is raising, definitely. We were totally ignorant, and we were totally unconscious of what was going on and of who we are. What's consciousness all about? It's the consciousness, it's the being aware, knowing who I really am. And the religions were very strong, governments were very strong, but people, the consciousness is raising, and the more it grows, the stronger repression has to be. It's like, I compare it to a sheepfold. You know, if the sheep start thinking that they want to leave the sheepfold and be on their own, and that they do not really need the shepherd anymore, the shepherd will beat them up and bring them back home, and then tighten up the fence and reduce the food, and that's going to be it. And kill the strongest ones who fight the system. So that's what it is. We are treated like animals because we see ourselves like animals, and we behave like animals, and because we have forgotten who we are. And the real question is, who are we? And we are the supreme being that we have called God or whatever. This is who we really are. So what are we waiting to behave as such? And stop giving our power and our energy and our money away to somebody else against security and protection. We have to start thinking like the the supreme beings that we are. Does a supreme being need security and protection? Wow, we don't need that. It's so far. We need it when we think that we're just poor creatures and we are in fear. But if I'm not fearful, because I know that I create what happens to me, and it's going to be for my best evolution, my evolution of consciousness. So fine, this is what I'm here for. I'm not here to be a nice person and to have a nice husband and a nice family and a good job and be respected in society. I'm not here for that. I'm here to become who I really am, the ultimate authority, a divine being. This is who I am. So that's why when I realized that, the choice was easy. So whatever the sticks were, going to jail or whatever, I was not going to let go who I am. This is what I'm here for. So it's and this is what consciousness is all about. And this is what's growing up. And of course they are afraid, because it's false. It's a world of illusion we're living in, and they know that the moment we wake up, they're gone. they're gone.
And so Guy, if we are this, all the supreme being, all one, that, who are they?
They?
Yeah, the ones that create the laws, the ones that are either being the culprit or the shepherd. Who are they really? If
they are divine beings too, but they have chosen to serve their having instead of their being. That's all. And they obey. If we go up the ladder, we go into the occult world, and they obey blindly the god of illusion. At the top of the pyramid is a god of illusion, and it's a false god. And what we call God is a false god. Religions have created those gods, but that's not who we are. We are this divine entity. There's only one, and what we call the creator. The creator is within everything. It's not outside. There's no separation. It's the separation that creates fear and war. But the moment I realize that the creator is within everything and everybody, we're all one. This is how we are one. So we don't need laws. I know that you are me, I'm you. Why would I treat you badly? So it's a major letting go of religion, false spirituality, New Age, and all that stuff, and letting go of even family. It goes very far. Family that we think is so basic and so important. And again, you can see it doesn't work. People divorce, nothing works. All the systems are falling apart because our consciousness is raising. So that's what it is. This is what's going on right now. So Bill C-51 is an additional, tightening of the shepherd's control.
So Guy, okay, so I mean, we know that that's what's happening, and but what do you see happening? Like, what is the outcome of everything that's happening right now? Because maybe our consciousness is rising, and yet the powers that be are trying to control more and more. Like, do you see us descending into a global police state with vast depopulation, or do you see somehow that the good people of this world can rise up and cast off the shackles that bind us?
Okay. it is who's going to win? Is this the question?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Who's going
it
to
in a
win
nutshell.
this battle? Truth is going to win, definitely. So there's no doubt. How many will be left after the battle? I cannot tell. Many would rather die than become who they are. Losing our illusions is very, very painful. And one big illusion right now is letting go of the belief we had that government was serving the people. And that applies also to religions. The more we see what's going on with the Vatican and with the priests and so on, we have to let go our illusion for the religion that's good serving the people, and that goes with everything. So the more we will the more we will grow in consciousness, the more we're going to open our eyes and see that it's all illusion. Some people will rather die than change their mindset, change their habits, change their way of doing things. Majority of people still believe that a good citizen should vote because we are in a free country. Just imagine, people still believe that we're in a free country. That we have to vote because we should be proud of being in a free country, and all that BS. It's all BS. So the more we will come to see it, the more, of course, it's going to fall apart. And one day the shift will come when there'll be a shift where people will just start laughing. Well, that was a joke. Just imagine, we've been suffering for eons, and because we thought we were part of a play. We were thinking that the play was real. It's a play. It does not exist. It's not true. But the root of our problem, the root of a problem, is the consciousness of who we are, and that is the only thing that will change this world. The politicians will never change this world. It's the people, individuals, that will change the world by changing themselves.
Wow.
That answered that.
Okay, so what do I say in court, Guy? Yeah, what do I tell them? What do I say to the judge?
I would not recommend that you go to court today. It is a long process. It is not something that you do overnight. I tell people, stop being black sheep. The answer is not fighting the system. Let the system go. Let it do what it wants. And you start behaving as who you are. For instance, we say that you can see businesses closing down all over. Why do they close down? Because people with the power, we buy things that are made in China. We do not buy Canadian products. We create this. We create the situation we live in. So all we have to do is buy local products in local stores, local restaurants. That's all. And they will just close down. And our businesses will flourish. We have the power. For instance, banks are rich and we're poor. Where's the problem? We give them our money. We borrow money from them that doesn't even exist. They don't lend us a penny. It is debt money. It is not real money. There's nothing they give us. And we, not only do we borrow it and pay it back with our real work, money from work, but we do something that is just unacceptable, which is usury. We pay interest on money. We do that. And then we say, we're poor and they're rich. Of course, we have the power, but we don't use it. We have forgotten who we are. We can change this place tomorrow morning on a dime. We can just change it, flip it around. The moment we realize who we are and we behave as such. I haven't had a bank account for, I think, like 15 years. And people say, how can you live without a bank account? Well, I can ask them, how can you live with a bank account?
I know.
Why would you do that?
And especially now, Guy, when you think about the new legislation, I think it's passed in Canada now, where with the bail-ins, right? Remember they went in Cyprus and stole everybody's money out of the accounts, and now they have the legal right to do that in Canada too. And people are walking around; they're not even aware of that, and they're leaving their money in the bank.
Just imagine what's going to happen when you ask me, what do I foresee? But people will collapse. They will learn overnight that their bank account is empty or went down by 50% or 80%, whatever. All their savings, they worked hard, it's gone. It is gone. We do business with the banksters. They are gangsters. That's what they are. And we do business with them. How can we do that? Yes, surprise will be big. People will just collapse. They will collapse. And this is what I was talking about when I said the world of illusion is collapsing slowly. So they try to keep it together. But there's no way. You cannot stop truth from coming out. Okay. And this is what this is what consciousness, the truth consciousness is now anchored on this planet, and it just goes on and on, that people start finding out what's going on, and that you cannot stop the truth, definitely. So it will happen. I mean, it will happen. We will the switch will happen, definitely. Are we going to be part of it or not? It depends on us. We have the free will. This is what free will is all about.
Okay, Guy. Now, I mean, I hear you, because I think the same way that you do about things, and most of the people that I know, and in fact, in my environment, which is, I get most of my media from YouTube, so I know all about this stuff, and there's a lot of people on the YouTube that know about these things, but somehow it seems that the conversation that carries the day in society is on big media. Big media, big TV still carries the narrative of society as a whole. So anybody that thinks a little bit differently is not even covered. So they have no credibility in the popular imagination. So my question is, a very practical question, because you're saying all we need to do is wake up, but to me, people are waking up, but it seems to me we need something more, something specific, a strategy or a tactic to bring this forward. Do you have any ideas about that?
It is a matter of vibration. It is not a tactic. It is not a fight. It is nothing of that kind. It's not a strategy. It is a vibration. For instance, what I did during the trial, I did not play. That means I did not go into the low, heavy vibrations of what law is all about. Law is for the sheep, but we are not sheep. We are I call it mayors. We're sovereign mayors. And remaining, when I know who I am and I remain in that state of consciousness, it is very powerful. This is where the real power is. And the more we believe, and I don't like the word believe, we become conscious of who we really are, and we behave as such. Because if I don't behave as such, I will not grow in consciousness. It's only action that makes me grow in consciousness. For instance, if I realize that the banks are robbing us and robbing the country and robbing the people, and I keep doing business with them, I mean, I will not grow in consciousness. I have to walk my talk. And this is very important. And this is not, you will not find this in spiritual movements, for instance. They just tell you, wait, put your pink glasses on, and wait for or God or the aliens or whom ascended masters, they'll do the job for you. They will save you. Nobody will save us. Nobody but ourselves. We are the ultimate authority. We have to start thinking as the supreme beings that we are and behave as such.
So, okay. So, how do we know that we are this? That we have our self-authority? How do we know that?
Okay, I'll go back to when I was in the process of writing The Medical Mafia. As I told you, I realized that the whole medical system was a mafia, and it was teaching us doctors to make people sick. So they never talk about health. They always talk about illness. So I wondered, what is health all about? And this is the question I came up with. We talk about the medical body, all the organization from bottom to top. I said, if there is a body, there has to be a soul, because we are human beings. There's the humus, which is the earth, and the being, which is the spiritual aspect. We are both. So I said, if there is a medical body, there has to be a medical soul. And I said, who is the medical soul? And I realized that the medical soul, we never talked about it, of course, is the patient. That the patient is the real authority of the system. If there's no patient, there's no doctor, there's no system. So who has the ultimate authority to change the medical system? Because that was my question. Who has the ultimate authority to change the medical system? The patient. If the patient takes charge of his health and stops, if the patient stops believing the doctor, giving his power away and his money to insurance companies, the system will be great. So I said, ho, if that's good for the system, it's good for me. And this is how I got to realize that the real power is in the soul and not in the body. And I said, all right, I'll stop taking care of the body as a medical doctor, and I will start taking care of the soul. And this is what is the key. The key to the change in a system or a society, the key is the transfer of power from the external, from the outside, should it be the body, to the soul, which is from the ego to the soul, from the outside to the inside. The real power is within ourselves. It is not outside of ourselves. And this is when I do this and I obey my soul, the war is over. Authority and obedience make one. Oh, there's no more war. No more war inside me, and no more war outside, because what is outside? The wars that we see outside are just a manifestation, a mirror of what's going on inside. I'm a creatrix, so I create outside what I am like inside. So this is how I came to that conclusion, that yes, let's do the transfer of power, and that's what I did for myself. And I obeyed my conscience, and this is to my soul, and I don't obey the law. This is their law. That's fine. They can do whatever they want. Bill C-51, you go on, make more, but I won't obey their law. I made the transfer of power, and I obey my law, my inner law, which is not my ego. Don't hear me wrong. I'm talking about the soul. And the soul and the ego are not the same. The ego is external. It comes from outside, whereas the soul is inside, and it is real. Truth is within the soul. And this is the big decision. The decision is definitely a transfer of power from the outside to the inside.
Wow. Well. I still want to know what to say to the judge. You know, because
you will not. You see, my path went through a judge, and don't forget that the judge is not an enemy. Nobody sent me to jail. My soul decided that I would make this experience. So I needed a judge to make it possible. So I don't see the judge as an enemy. I see him as an ally. And I sent him a book, and I told him, thank you for participating in this experience. And this is what reality is. So there's no big, if you see Bill C-51 with that attitude, which is reality, because this is what we create this bill in order for us to wake up. People will need, more and more of loss of illusion, lose their illusions to wake up. So we create what we need to wake up. So with this attitude, with this way of thinking, with this consciousness, I can see Bill C-51 as a gift, that we are giving ourselves an opportunity for us to grow and become who we are.
So Guy, you're saying you sent the judge a book. Maybe that would be a nice way of wrapping up, is to introduce your books and your workshops so that people can learn more.
Yes, I cannot stop talking about consciousness. I am, as long as there will be what I can see, human beings being beaten up, going to war, living in poverty conditions, in terrible conditions, children being raped, women being raped, wars all over. I cannot stop telling people there is a solution. There is one. It is, and nobody will do it for you. And here's the solution. So I have written books, booklets, I do videos, and I give workshops to help people to learn about it and disseminate this information. We have to know that there is a solution, definitely. It is being who we are and remembering who we are. It's interesting, in Quebec, the plate says, the car plate says, I remember, but I just added to it, I remember who I am. Just remember who we are and behave as such. So that's why I have books. There's one about the medical mafia, and then what the hell am I doing here anyway? It's about time that we ask ourselves what we're doing here. Are we here to be born and go to school and get married and have babies and work hard and die? I mean, why do we do that? I mean, it's total nonsense. It's impossible that this is reality. This is total nonsense. So there is a meaning to our being. We incarnated, and our soul incarnated into a physical body in order to grow and become who we are. So that this is what we are here for. So it has a meaning. Life has a meaning. It has a sense. I tell people, before you commit suicide, just read a book or listen. There's a solution. Yeah. There is a solution, definitely, and it's the time has come for this big shift in consciousness. A big shift. We have always been separated, and it's time to make the union between me and myself, the real me and my soul and my body. So I published a series of booklets with the explaining what the evolution is, authority, and then how do we apply it to every field in our daily life. How do we apply it to money, to family, to health, politics, and so on. So every system, education, how do we change behavior? How are we going to live differently once we know who we are? So I have published 10 of them. That's very important. We were two writers, spending 8 years of our lives to publish those, plus the publishing, in addition to the publishing. So it's been hard work, and because it's important for people to have the information. Also, there's a book, Madame Ghis, which talks about all the trial, what it is like being in jail. It's not that bad. Many people will end up in concentration camps, and they don't go crazy. Don't be afraid. It's not that bad. Avoid it. I'm not telling you go and just go for it. No. But if that happens, reading the book will allow people to get more familiar with what's going on there. And also all my evolution in consciousness that brought me there. It's not something that happens overnight. I've been doing this for 20 years. My evolution in consciousness has been over a period of 20 years. And this is important. I started with, smaller things, and I didn't know all this, but now I can share with people how to do it, because I've been through it. Not only the prison experience, but the whole, the whole evolution in consciousness in our daily life. So that's what I shared. That's about it. So there are 4 books and 10 booklets and many DVDs, videos, and an additional one today with you, which is a pleasure. And that's my job to share it. So I'm very grateful that you gave me this opportunity.
Well, it's been great to have you on, Ghis. And before we go any further, let's give out your website where people can get their hands on the books. And also, I know you run workshops, and I'm assuming that information is also available on the website.
Yes, it is. It is all available on the website.
And so the website is?
Yes, go ahead.
Personacratia.com.
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll put that up on the video so people already know what it is.
Yeah.
Personal, Persono, yes. One
Okay.
N.
All right. Thank you,
Yes.
Guy. And listen, we'd love to meet you in person. If you ever come to Toronto, we would love to spend some time with you. So please let us know if you're going to do that. And,
I will enjoy it. I will definitely let you know.
okay.
And maybe even make it happen.
That would be awesome. So thanks again for doing this today, and all the best to you and actually to all of us.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
Bridget?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
Okay.
to both of you.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Great chatting with you, Guy.
Yeah, so we're just going to sign off now, and then I don't know if you want to hang out there, Guy, for a little bit, but Bridget, I guess that's it for the show.
It is.
And that was an
yeah.
awesome, really great to meet Guy and have this
Thank-
conversation today.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having this.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it, everybody. Thanks. It's Liquid Lunch. We'll see you next time right here, thatchannel.com. Take care.